I'm going to call the meeting to order at 7 p.m. Thank you. We will note that all council members are present except for Council Member Shuey, who will join us shortly from another meeting. I'd like everybody to stand now and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, have consent calendar up first.
Move approval?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ordered. Okay. Next, we have no recommendation as a presentation, so we will move on to reports from the Planning Commission. No meeting, so nothing from them. Trails and Landscape, also no meeting. City Manager and staff.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. The one item I have for you tonight, I think I've shared with you just recently, but I wanted to not only share it with you again, but also with the general public. One of the missions of this city has been long stated to have, if not the best, one of the best street road conditions in Contra Costa County. And there is a industry standard on how street conditions are rated. It's called the Pavement Condition Index, or otherwise known as the PCI. And I think, when we initially started and the system was started with using the Metropolitan Transportation Commission's assistance in rating streets, Clayton was down in the lower 70s. This was about 10, 12 years ago. And since then, we've been aggressively, with your financial allocations, been aggressively pursuing the conditions of our streets. And you can see in the graph that we've presented overhead, the most recent condition rating index has surfaced. And the line that shows Clayton, we are at an index of 85. And only for the lack of the alphabetizing of the names, we would be first. We certainly are first. We're tied with Brentwood. That's great in terms of wanting to start out on a mission to keep our roads in good condition. I think most of you experience the same thing I have. When you drive into town, suddenly things are much smoother than where you just came from. So we're pleased to report that to you. Now, many people might say, well, what do those indexes mean? And according to the ratings system, here's what the industry has come out with in terms of its rating. They have excellent. Excellent would be 100, and that means the street is excellent when it has just recently been paved. It's like driving a new car off of a lot. As soon as it touches the street, it's no longer 100%, it's 99%.
That's true.
In terms of its value. So that's what a 100% street would be. And we fall into the 85 rating category, if you would, which means of all the streets in town, collectively, arterials, which are the main corridors for the city, collector streets, which collect the traffic from residential neighborhoods and funnels it to the arterials, and then the actual neighborhood streets themselves, we are at an overall 85 ranking, which is, according to that last chart, best in the Contra Costa County. Another way of putting it, and I don't have that particular chart, but I have the information here before you, of all of our streets, 96.7% of our streets are in the good to very good to excellent category. So the good starts at 70. So if you go back to this chart, a city that has 70, starting there with, let's say, Walnut Creek, that's good. You move into the 80s. In 90s, that's very good, and of course 100 is the excellent. But 96.7% of our streets are in that good to excellent rating. 3.4% of our streets are in our PCI index of 50 to 70. So you can see some cities here are in the 50% or 50 category. That means they're at risk or fair, and that's their overall index. Whereas only 3.4% of our streets are in that category. I think we have actually reached a point where no street is below 69 rent or percentage right now. And then further, if you add 96.7 and 3.4, that totals 100. So none of our streets are in the poor or failed condition. And just want to report that success, and it doesn't mean that we can stand still, because any street condition that stands still deteriorates. And it's much better to get in front of those streets than it is to let them deteriorate and then the bases have problem as well. But thank you once again for your leadership in this regard to make certain that our gas tax, our Measure J monies, as well as any other allocations that we could find to keep our streets paved is one of the things that makes Clayton different than the rest of Contra Costa County.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Okay, next we move into city council reports on various activities and commissions and meetings. Vice Mayor, Mr. Hayden.
Okay, since our last council meeting, I did attend a Library Foundation meeting on Wednesday, January 18th. Went over lots of issues, including moving around our dates for the upcoming book sale. And the Foundation Committee did thank the city for working on some library issues. They always have a few more to add to the list that I'll be adding shortly, but nothing major. They were real happy with the condition of the library. Then on Thursday, January 26th, I attended the CBCA monthly general membership meeting. This is, again, a local group that puts together our major fundraiser events here in the city, raises lots of money for local projects and schools and charities. And then last Thursday, went to the mayor's conference in Pinole representing Clayton. And we had a very interesting talk from the Contra Costa Deputy DA, Dominic Yancey. And she talked about crimes that are targeting senior citizens. And she asked for contacts with groups that might be open to her coming and giving presentations on what they should look for and items to be careful as far as protecting as they're moving forward, and contacts that they may receive that are questionable. And so I've already reached out to CBCA and to Diamond Terrace here in town to see if they would be open, and both of them had indicated an interest in scheduling something like that. So we'll be
Clayton Valley Village, too.
That's the other one.
Valley
Great.
Village I
Yeah.
haven't contacted yet, but that was the other
Yeah.
group. But, great outreach offer from the Deputy DA.
Great.
So we'll be following up on that. And then on February 3rd, last Friday, attended the Clayton City Budget Subcommittee meeting with Councilmember Catalano. Went over the condition of the budget mid-year, and you'll be getting a full report on that at an upcoming meeting. So
Great.
good report.
Thanks, Keith. Councilmember Catalan.
So my only event is that I attended the budget subcommittee meeting on last Friday.
Great.
That's it.
Thank you. Councilmember Pierce.
Yes, we had a CCTA, Contra Costa Transportation Authority Board meeting and an Administration and Projects Committee meeting. Things are moving along. We're getting projects done, and that's a good thing. Also had several Association of Bay Area Government Executive Board and committee meetings. Also had a ABAG General Assembly where we talked about the merger of the two staffs between the Metropolitan Transportation Commission and the Association of Bay Area Governments. And as president, I was there to lead the charge and try to answer a lot of questions and allay any fears. We had several of our retirees who were worried about their PERS pensions and things like that, and were they going to be safe with this transition? And we were able to reassure them that absolutely that would be the case. So that was a good event. I was telling the council earlier in our goal-setting session about a program called Urban Sim, developed by Professor Waddell in Berkeley. It's a forecasting tool for forecasting populations and jobs and things like that. And it's based on a market analysis of existing data. And it's very interesting. And I attended a seminar on that with a lot of my colleagues from both the Association of Bay Area Governments and the Metropolitan Transportation Commission, and brought back some information where it may actually come to benefit Clayton in the future as well. And then we had a Metropolitan Transportation Commission Executive Board meeting. That's it.
Great, thank you. I too attended the Library Foundation meeting with Vice Mayor Hayden, and we'll be following up on some items that came out of that related to the book sale and where it's going to ultimately land. On the 19th, I attended the County Connection Board meeting, which I represent Clayton on, and we got an update on all the things that are happening with the public transportation system that we have, and the trial that they're doing over in Walnut Creek with electric buses. And if that becomes successful and they are able to get additional federal funding, then it'll expand to more cities throughout the service area. After that, I immediately went up to Sacramento, where I attended the California League of California Cities meeting, and I'm the representative to the Public Safety Policy Committee. And that is a group of all the cities throughout California where we hear some of the updates on new legislation that's going to be affecting public safety throughout the state. One that came back again to us is, for those people that may not be aware of it, AT&T is looking to exit the landline business and go solely to wireless. The major obstacle to that is in certain locales in California, with only wireless service, they cannot pinpoint where you are, which has an impact on fire and police responding to issues there. So it's again back on the back burner until they can figure out how to identify precisely where you are. And my young men that came out of my family, they've never had a landline. They've always had wireless. So it's becoming more and more a wireless area and communication vehicle, that no longer the landline, and they want to get out of that. The other one that came up, and I'm happy to see that the police chief is here, and I was not aware of it, but there's a group, and it's headed by a retired chief from LAPD, and I can't recall his name, but they were talking about the new communication system, and I want to say Network 14 or something like that, which I guess is some sort of new compatible two-way communication system. And I'm just curious if we're participating in that, or are you aware of that?
Well, years ago, we went to a system where our radios were able to speak to our neighboring law enforcement agencies. So
Yeah.
maybe LA is actually catching up. It took a long time for Oakland to finally buy in, Oakland Police Department to buy into our system. Now they're able to talk to us, where
Yeah.
we just switch a channel and we were able to communicate with outside
Yeah,
agencies.
apparently it's some way to really enhance the communication, and maybe even Gary might even be aware of it, because one of the representatives from the city of Danville was there, and he spoke upon it, or spoke to it, and mentioned that they are participating in it, and that other cities, I'm assuming, are as well.
Well, I think Mr. Mayor, we are, that's called P25 compliance.
Okay.
And yes, several years ago, the cities in the East Bay formed what's called the East Bay Regional Communications System to create that interoperability, because they found in many of the natural disasters and even civil disasters, different responding agencies could not speak to others. And there was also difficulties
Right.
of some of the topography in the East Bay when you have some hills and then mountains and low-lying lands. And so we are a member of that Joint
Great.
Powers Authority, and we have not only the police department, but our maintenance department has intercommunication operations, because they're also part of the first responder team in the event of emergency. So we're up and running. We pay an annual fee.
Excellent.
To maintain those radios, and so that's part of the reason we joined that.
And I apologize for bringing it up here, because I meant to sit down with you about it to discuss it. Okay, Art and Wine is coming, and I'm working on that. Also on the 26th, I attended both the beginnings of the CBCA general membership meeting, and then went over to Walnut Creek for the League East Bay Division meeting. And then finally, on the 2nd of February, I attended, again, I'm a member of the Marketing, Planning, and Legislative Committee for the County Connection, and lo and behold, they elected me chair of that.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you. And so I'll be reporting back to them at our next board meeting. Thanks to Amy Worth. And anyway, so that was good. That concludes. Yes, sir.
Congratulations
Well, thank
on
you.
that.
I appreciate that.
But I did want to add, too, on the outreach opportunity we have here in Clayton to warn people about the things that are going on out there that may impact them that they need to be aware of. Chief Wenzel also offered to go along with the deputy DA, and he's got a good background in that and has more examples of things they should be alert to. So wanted to confirm that he's going to be going out at
Excellent.
those.
'Cause I don't know about you, but I'm getting inundated
Yeah.
with robocalls
Oh,
on
yeah.
everything from some lady trying to adjust her headset, and it's a fake call. And, but it's,
Yep, there's a lot of them.
and they're preying on individuals who don't know the difference between, a live call or not, and can get entangled in some very tenuous events. Anyway, that concludes all of our reports from the various activities. Number 8, public communication for non-agenda items. I have no slips from anyone, so I'm assuming we don't have anybody on that. We have no public hearings. We'll now move into action items, and the first one is 10A, City Council discussion and determination of a citizen appointment to the one vacated term by Council Member Catalano to the Planning Commission, which would be a term expiring June 30th, 2017. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to nominate that we move that we approve the application of Peter Cloven. We had a chance to interview him a little while ago. He is, I think, very well qualified and brings a great perspective and a good background of information in his day job to this position, and I think he would be a really good addition to our Planning Commission, so I would move his appointment.
And I'd like to second that and also go along with what Julie said. We were all impressed, I believe, with the interview we just conducted. Got not only a good background, but an interest in participating in Clayton activities. He's attended both council and planning commission meetings, which is always a plus. So he already knows how the operation works. So I think he'll be a real asset.
Excellent.
So I'll just add to that as well. I think during the interview, I think he did answer all of our questions quite well. I think he is also very qualified for the position, and I think he has the very right approach to the task in terms of listening and educating yourself and making good balanced decisions. So.
As I said, I was impressed with his application. His background fits what we were looking for. And the other added value he brings is his family is involved in Clayton. And I think that's very important in that. So,
Not to mention that he sat down and read 2 years worth of minutes of the Planning Commission. Now that's dedication.
absolutely. Any other discussion? Hearing none,
No, go ahead.
okay, all those
Excuse me,
signify
Mr. Mayor.
support by, yes, sir.
I think
I
just
made
for
the
formality.
motion, Keith seconded.
He seconded.
I got it, but you're adopting a resolution
Yes.
appointing.
Oh, sorry.
I think that's what you said.
That's what I said,
Yes,
yes.
I
I
just wanna
moved
make
a
sure I hear you.
resolution appointing
That's what I
Peter
seconded,
Cloven,
Gary, so
yeah.
thank you.
I'm sorry to be behind.
Okay, any further discussion? All those signify support by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? So ordered. Great,
you.
we filled the vacancy. All right, we'll move on to item number 10B. Consider the research findings report of the city's prospective installation and use of roadway cameras and automated license plate readers at the entrances to the city of Clayton to enhance local law enforcement effectiveness and public safety. Chief Chris Wenzel.
So I'm on here. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council members, city manager, staff, 2 contractors. Make sure I cover everybody here. Approximately a year ago, I came to you and presented the idea of having cameras in the city, looking at what other organizations, other law enforcement agencies are doing throughout the county, throughout the state, as a matter of fact, looking at technology as being the way to provide better service, security for our residents. The 2 systems, 2 cameras that I'm looking at basically are post-time investigative tool and then also real-time license plate reader that's telling us right now what's occurring and alerting us to anything from a stolen vehicle, an abduction, whatever we believe is important to be alerted on wanted people in a vehicle. The vehicle itself, the license plate is the identifier that would be alerting us, and we would go and try to contact and apprehend the individual. These type of cameras, I think we should really focus on that definition is not a surveillance type camera. These are situational based cameras. We are not 24/7 monitoring these cameras. We use them based on information that's inputted into the system to alert us on particular crimes and situations, and also to capture after an event a vehicle so we can continue our investigation and apprehend an individual. Why that's important is in today's world about Big Brother and are we being watched. Even today, I was getting commented by certain citizens about this camera system, and they were asking questions such as, are you going to use these cameras for writing citations for running a stop sign and red lights and those kind of things? Absolutely not. That's not the purpose of these types of cameras. So what that tells us is that's their concerns, that the rights of privacy is being invaded. So we're looking at this and trying to get out to the public that we are not monitoring it. It's not something that we're sitting there and officers looking at a screen all the time. It is something we use after an event, or again, that we're being alerted a type of vehicle that comes into the city. Both these products I could talk about, but I thought would probably be the best thing to do is bring the experts to come in and explain to you what these products are. These products are being used throughout the county. I think Danville's finishing up, as you talk to other council members, that in their city where they're spending over $1 million on a camera system throughout their city. So it's here. Many cities in the county are using it, so we're looking at it that same type of technology to bring to the city of Clayton. With that, I'd like to introduce Mr. Mike McGee from Lear, who is going to talk about Vigilant Solutions and the automated license plate reader camera. So Mike, is this set up for him to use? So.
The right arrow.
Right click. Right click to move and laser pointer.
Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members, city attorney, chief, thank you for the opportunity. I'm Mike McGee with Lear Auto Electric, and we are Vigilant Solutions VAR, Value Added Reseller. I've got a couple of slides we're going to push through here. At any given time, should someone have a question, feel free to ask. I've got no issues answering. Lear Automotive, or Lear Auto Electric, we are a master distributor for most all major emergency vehicle equipment. So our primary focus up until about 6-7 years ago had been vehicles and equipping them with lights, sirens, cages, consoles. I do believe a couple of meetings ago you may have approved a new utility vehicle for the chief and department. We'll be building that in the next couple of months. So thank you for that. These are our 3 locations in Northern California and Southern California. We just added one in Reno about 1.5 years ago and one in Salem, Oregon. So we do have 5 locations between California and one in Southern Oregon. For the city of Clayton, we do believe we have a game changer ahead to offer. We're going to go through quickly a Vigilant overview, the offering of license plate recognition, the secure hosted server known as Learn, the analytics that are comprised inside Learn, mobile companion, mobile hit hunter, and target alert service. Those all seem fairly foreign to you, I'm sure, but at the end of this, you'll have a pretty good idea of what we're able to do. With Vigilant Solutions, why are we here, or what do we offer? With Vigilant, we can give you access to tools and data not available anywhere else. We can generate additional investigative leads, as the chief was talking to a point earlier. Save your agency time and resources, improve efficiency of field operations and investigations, increase your case closure and closure time, improve safety to your officers and to your community, and at the end of the day, overall, we can help save lives. So with early identification with ALPR, we get early apprehension. Future crimes not committed, you start putting ALPR in your city and criminals stop coming to your city. Reduce crime and that all equals lives saved. A quick company snapshot of Vigilant Solutions. The manufacturer, Vigilant, is the fastest growing company within their market segment in the public safety technology solutions. Currently over 3,200 agencies and 30,000 sworn as a customer base. Founded in January 2005 with over 100 employees. Their innovative and agile development methodology keeps them in front of the game. There are several other competitors out there with ALPR, but none of them have the software or analytics that Vigilant has today. They're headquartered in Livermore, California, just over the hill, and they are majority ownership of DRN, or Digital Recognition Network. We'll hit on DRN in a little bit. Some of our larger agencies or customers would be Department of Homeland Security, the Department of Defense, Department of Justice, and for asset recovery by DRN, which is their sister company, they work with banks like Bank of America, JP Morgan Chase, HSBC, Citi. And you might say, what does that have to do with ALPR? On the private industry side, when somebody doesn't make their payment on their brand new Cadillac, a bank wants it back. So they have a sister company who works with the tow industry to recover those vehicles. Some of our local customers, just in the 10-mile radius of Clayton, would be Brentwood, Oakley, Antioch, Pittsburgh, Pleasant Hill, Walnut Creek, Dublin, Pleasanton, Danville, Contra Costa County. I can continue north, south, east, or west. Just let me know a direction. They're most all Vigilant customers today. With what Vigilant's been able to do with not only recovering stolen vehicles or apprehending felony warrant for arrest, the investigative tools have been huge for all these cities. As one gets it, they tell the next one about it, and it's almost word of mouth. What we're looking at for the city of Clayton is fixed LPR. So a perimeter security for your city or region to help us identify a vehicle or a suspect may be wanted. So we're looking at some unmanned ALPR for your choke points coming into the city. So the ALPR fixed camera can seamlessly integrate to Learn, which is the back end. One thing to note about our back end is it is hosted. So city IT doesn't have to go buy a 10 terabyte server. The city doesn't have to maintain any cost to absorb IT and the time it takes for them to set it up, maintain it. Everything is done through a web portal login. It is CJIS compliant. It is fully audited. And how do we get those alerts when somebody comes bad into the neighborhood? Target Alert Service is our remote alerting system. So it's a secondary piece of software that comes with Vigilant Solutions that we can add on to that laptop or the chief's desktop, dispatch, even the patrol cars, we can add it to the patrol cars. So when a vehicle wanted comes through the city, drives past the ALPR camera, it will alert the local officers working that at that location someone just drove by. So it's near real time. That's what our camera looks like. This is the Reaper camera. It is comprised of, I can't really see it here, but on one side is an ALPR IR camera. On the other side is a color camera. And there's 6 diodes up here that project an IR image. So we are able to capture the license plate with this camera, and with this camera, a color overview photo of the car. The camera is power over Ethernet, so it's not an analog camera. It works like a network camera would work. Low power consumption. Does have the capability of speed calculation, but in our workplace and enforcement place, we're not utilizing those functions or feature. The camera overall comes out of the box with a 1-year warranty. What we've done with the chief and the quote for the city of Clayton has added a 2-year warranty to the system.
What is the general useful life of those cameras?
The cameras that are on my car, which is the previous version, are about 7 years old. The longest cameras currently in service out on a pole are around 5 years old, still working. So the projected life, what Vigilant tells you they'll be good for, is 5 to 7 years.
Are those cameras self-contained power-wise, or are they getting satellite or solar, or how do you power them?
From the pole that they will be mounted to. So whether it be a traffic signal or if it's a vertical illuminating pole, there has to be a tap to a local power. As far as offloading the information to the CGIS compliant hosted website, we will be utilizing a Sierra wireless modem with a cellular connection to, when the car comes by, it takes a picture and offloads it immediately. So here, this is the Reaper in the field. These are some photos from, this is Danville, El Cerro. There are 2 cameras right here, lane 1 and lane 2. So that's inbound Danville. Danville did, just recently this summer, we did about 36 fixed cameras in Danville and 6 patrol units with 3 cameras each on their car. So a total of about 56 cameras in Danville. And this is a single camera here on a vertical pole. This is a traffic signal. That's the camera, and this is our NEMA enclosure, which contains our switch, our modem, our antenna. That's where the power comes in and gives power to the camera. So when you're looking at it on a pole, it's very small. If the poles are painted black, they blend in quite nicely. Most people don't even see this stuff in Danville. The proposed Vigilant Solutions ALPR sites that Chief Wenzel had talked about and we've indicated or identified would be currently 2 inbound cameras at Clayton Road. I'm not sure if that's the exact location, but it's near the first or second light pole coming in on Clayton. Pine Hollow, inbound towards Clayton. We've got Oakhurst, inbound 2 lanes, and then Marsh Creek over here, single lane right before, as Marsh Creek comes into Clayton and turns into 2 lanes, we're going to capture before that happens. So we're good 1 camera per lane.
Where are you going to put it on Pine Hollow? What, there's no light?
We'll talk about, I'll show you later the actual pictures where we're looking at.
The back end. So now that we are talking about a camera, where does the information go? The information goes to Learn. Learn is the Enterprise LPR Intelligence Center. It's web-based management solution. It's centralized, secure, it's hosted, so nothing your IT locally has to take care of. From here, we can add user hot lists. We can do policy management. We can add or remove users. If someone leaves the department, the chief or the agency manager can log in and make those changes locally. They don't have to call and say, can you do this for me? The system is completely managed by the police department. We can run queries and exclusive analytics. The agency will have access to Vigilant's private data and full auditing and reporting. So one thing unique to Vigilant, what sets them apart from all the other ALPR manufacturers, they've got the back end, which is hosted, CGIS compliant. We're offloading wirelessly, and from any device, we could log in at Ms. Brown's computer. I could log in to Learn Today into an agency's account. It's going to log my username and credentials, that IP address from that computer. So if you're at home or in Hawaii or on vacation or have been removed and forgot to have your user credentials taken, it's fully audited. So no matter what device a user would log in from, it's listed. It also lists what type of reports or queries they would have had and if there was a case number associated to it. So who owns the data? So Vigilant owns the server, and Vigilant owns their own data, but anything that the law enforcement contributes to themselves or shares with other agencies, the agency owns, not Vigilant.
Where is that server located?
In a mountain in
A secret
Yeah,
location.
secret location. It's next to FBI servers. I can get white paper on that with an actual location and what type of server and its redundancy, and they've got that available. I don't have that with me here tonight.
You've heard of Battle Mountain?
Yeah.
It'd be nice to know.
There's a place outside Salt Lake City like that,
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
where they have a very secret, huge facility that you can see, but you can't get.
Yeah, I can't get there, right? So all the law enforcement data that a law enforcement contributes is totally owned by themselves. They've got their own history they can add, they can delete. They set their own retention policies. So that's something that internally the police department or the city would talk about. What are we going to do with all these scans that are just our regular resident citizens that come through every morning on a commute? Are we going to keep them for 60 days, 90 days, 100 days, a year?
Well, that's
Yes,
a
sir.
question. Who's going to determine that? Is the
Oh, that's totally
Yeah,
up
okay.
to the city of
Okay.
Clayton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
all right?
And once that's been determined,
Yeah.
once that's been determined, he can enter in the field of retention, enter in a numeric, so 365, then it auto deletes. Now that's just a standard detection. There's a secondary retention for a hit. So that's anything that would be positive off of the California DOJ, or if an Amber Alert comes out and the chief puts that in, Amber Alert, here's the license plate. So if one of those vehicles hit, normally you would want to keep that at in the server, keep it at 0, which would keep it indefinitely forever. So you don't know if it's going to be 2 years, 5 years, when it's going to go to court, if you're going to need that information. So when there's a detection, there's one set of retention policy. When there's a hit or something that is maybe associated to an action, then you would keep that for longer. So two different sets.
So you have all these photos. So every vehicle that goes through, the photo is taken, but it doesn't register anything other than just
Date,
being there.
date,
Can you
time.
actually do traffic counts with that?
Well,
What was the
there would be a,
I missed.
yeah.
If it takes a
2 for 1.
picture of every single,
You
I
could,
was thinking.
if you have like a plus or minus, 3 to 5%, because not everybody has a license plate. This camera system works off of license plates. So if
Okay.
there's no license plate, it may not trigger the event to
Working at
photo.
MTC, I know how many don't have license
Right.
plates. They all have to have
They're
very, very
supposed
soon.
to. And that's a ticket for these guys. If they see someone rolling through and you have ALPR up, make sure those people have license plates. And
Well,
by the
they're
way,
required to now.
we're looking at the rear of the vehicle. So after the vehicle comes into town or through an intersection is where we're looking, because 90% of everybody obeys the law, but there's 10% who do not ever put a front license plate on their car. So
But I want to understand your
Well, my question was because sometimes for planning purposes, for development and things like that,
You have
we
to do
need
traffic
to
count.
know how many people are actually using a certain road to know what the impact would be on it.
right.
And it just occurred to me, if you're taking pictures of them, we'd be pretty darn close to
Yeah.
having the
Def-
same thing as that little rubber tube on the
Yeah,
across
and the
road.
chief, once the system's, if approved, up and running, the chief would have access to actually run reports. So they could be weekly, quarterly, annually, semi-annually. So he can run reports just in general, how many detections total. So
Okay.
how many cars came through.
Yeah, it's not invading anybody's privacy, just counting how many people use the road.
Right.
Okay,
like that grommet that's across the
Yeah.
when you drive across it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get a twofer here.
So the agency will have access also for the first year to Vigilance private data. So Vigilant owns their own private data, and so there's nothing the department can do. They can search it, they can print it out, but they can't delete it. So how are we alerted? There's two different ways that the system will alert should a vehicle come into play. And one is Target Alert Service, so we call it TAS. That's the one that we can load onto a laptop, a desktop at dispatch, or we can load onto the patrol car's computer, as long as there's an internet connection wirelessly. So what happens is, this little piece of software, I come out and I install this software onto those desktops or into the vehicles, and when a vehicle of interest comes by and is matched, it signals an alert up to the server, and the server from Learn pushes out an alert through TAS. So this runs in the background. This is not up on the CAD screen. It could be down in the toolbar, but it's open. So an audible alarm would come up, similar to a siren, like a whoop, and then the next screen says stolen vehicle. So this is slightly redacted. This is an actual stolen vehicle. I was trying to help an agency find this car. It was coming through South State Route 4 eastbound camera 1. So at San Marco, I've got 4 cameras in an eastbound direction towards Antioch, and at Century, we've got 4 cameras westbound. So this came through. This is exactly what a real alert looks like. So we've got a picture, and a picture's worth 1,000 words, they say. So we can look at the car, we can look at the license plate, we can see what color it is, if there's any markings, if there's a dent. We can't see in the car, and that's not the purpose of the system. We're not trying to see who's driving, we're just trying to be alerted to the vehicle.
Question.
Yes, sir.
When the information comes in, do you have a protocol that's hierarchical as to what importance it has? I mean, because it could be a stolen vehicle or it could be a known terrorist, you know, and then everything drops and you go take care of it. Is there a protocol in there to let you know what level of importance it is?
So on the state DOJ hot list, which is automatically updated daily and pushed into the system 3 times a day, they put those alerts in there. Now, if the agency locally had something occur, a hit and run or an Amber Alert, or somebody stole my mail or someone stole a package and I got a partial, the agency can locally put that in and they can assign an alert to it, high, medium, or low. They will all still alert the same as far as it's an alert yes or no. Where there is a hierarchy of event is if you had 1,000 cars come by the camera and it scanned 998 of them, but it was offloading and for some reason, let's say the modem was a little slow because there were so many cars that came by one camera at one time.
Right.
It's not happened yet, but if it did, when a vehicle comes through that positively identifies with an alert, it will take that vehicle and put it across all the others and it will bump it to the top and send it off. So a detection versus a hit, there is a hierarchy. But when it's just hit after hit after hit, or if there were multiple hits, they will all still go to the top of the line to push out. There's not a difference between if it's a felony warrant or if it's a Amber Alert. They're still both
And that's
high importance.
That's the interest that I have.
Okay.
Keith?
Do you monitor or detect just the license plate or the make of the car as well?
Good question. As far as triggered events or anything that's going to be assigned to a hot list, it's going to be the license plate. But when you're inside the system, and if the department was looking for something, if someone came to the chief or the department and said, this event occurred, this is the stolen license, or this is the license plate that rolled out of my driveway and my package was stolen, when they enter that in, maybe they don't get a plate. At the same time, they could say it was a Volkswagen Rabbit or it was a BMW and it was between 2 o'clock on Saturday and 4 o'clock on Saturday because that's when I went to the store. So they can just start looking at all the cameras feeding into Clayton or that area and they could say, you know, on Saturday between 2 and 6, show me all BMWs. Based on there's a conversion inside of Learn where license plate are registered to specific vehicles so they can start looking at make model.
But if they don't have the license plate, it requires actual visual monitoring. For that, your example of between 2 and 4, you saw a car leave the neighborhood, you didn't get the license plate.
Right. So, yeah, they would have to physically go through, I might have a slide here. Let's see. So this is logging into Learn. This is just a generic snapshot, system user. That's me. Right here under license plate query, they would go to, up here and either enter in a plate number or they can go to a date range and they can say on this date between these times, show me everything that came by. And from there, it's a manual process.
Okay.
They'd have to look at each tile. If I press left, will that take me back?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a quick
We have a
question
question right
too.
here.
So you kind of talked a little bit about what the different triggers are, stolen vehicles or Amber Alerts. So what are the other sort of typical alerts? And then is that driven by the vehicle, or is it also that, if we have a known suspect and that they drive a car with,
Right, so-
is it just the vehicle or the person?
So the way ALPR works will be off of the license plate, and the state puts out a list. The California Department of Justice puts out a list of any license plate that's been reported stolen, or any vehicle that's been reported stolen, their license plate is on there, and then any felony warrant for arrest. So hypothetically, any given day, there's 300,000 plates in that list, and they can plus minus 15,000 plates in a day. Of those plates that are on that list is auto updated into Learn. So the chief doesn't have to do anything. It's there. There are other lists that are available that he can sign up for, like a FBI hot list, which might have terrorists on there.
Right.
Right. So there are other lists he can sign up for that will be auto fed into the system as well. If there was an Amber Alert, those are not automatically uploaded, or I don't know how fast they are uploaded, because the California state puts out every 8 hours their list. So if an Amber Alert happens right now and KTVU Channel 2 says it, they should type it in, because it might be another few hours before that gets added to the list. Locally, the department can add something to that list. So if there's, local felony warrant for arrest, the chief could add that in there. A vehicle that's registered or associated to a person that is causing problems, they can add that on there, and they can be alerted to when it comes into town. If there's a couple of cars that have been found leaving areas where there's been burglaries, resident burgs, when people get up and go to work and they see a funny car leaving and someone writes the plate down, that can be added as an investigative tool. The next time it comes through, we want to be alerted.
Okay, then, and this may be a question for city attorney as well, but so in terms of, like you mentioned, Amber Alerts, for example, so, so the system alerts that certain vehicle came through our city. If we don't pay attention to it, or we, for example, if it's an Amber Alert and we realize that we got an alert for it, but then we don't do anything about it, is there any liability on the city that we missed that alert? No.
David?
Going to the search function,
Yes.
if a car doesn't have a license plate, do we still get a photo of it, or is it invisible?
That's a catchy one. Sometimes it will still trigger a photo event. Other times it may not. So if there's something else on the car, sometimes like there's a contractor's license on the side of a truck, like CA012345, the engines themselves are looking for IR, so the reflectiveness of the plate, but they're also looking for character recognition. So the analytics try to pick up other things. Kia, Toyota, it can read other parts, but it's not a guarantee that you're going to get that.
Okay. And so if there's really no reflective stuff on the back of a car, it's essentially a ghost to your system.
Well, your tail lights and your blinkers, those are reflective.
So it would take a photo of those? I'm talking about like the situation where we've got somebody coming through in robbery, but we don't have a plate, but we know that there's a window on Tuesday at 9 to 10, on Thursday at 9 to 10.
Right.
And the ability to go back and say, there was 100 cars that went through, and this is the same one that's there 3 times, maybe we can zero in on that.
Right.
But it doesn't have a license plate. Is it a ghost? And so therefore we're missing it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not foolproof, I get, but.
Right. I can't say for sure that you would have that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So again, going back into Learn, this is the back end. This is the hosted CGIS compliant secure server. Agency managers would be the chief or whomever he deemed an agency manager. They have a full set of rules available. They can go in and they can actually share. One of the unique things Vigilant has designed in this, and I hate to use the analogy of Facebook, but everybody here knows what it is. So if you get on Facebook and you see a colleague from a few years ago or a friend from high school, you can check mark a box and say, send a friend request. Vigilant in their space with their server, since they're hosting hundreds of agencies across the United States, you can go into a data map. You can see who you're not sharing with, and you can say, do you want to share? So agencies have the capability of creating a large network of shared information, interoperability. So if you're looking for an Amber Alert car and we add it to our system here in Clayton, that can still be shared across all of our shared agencies. So they might not enter the Amber Alert, you enter it locally, but it gets scanned in Pittsburgh, you get the alert.
Wow.
Do you share with any other surveillance system? A competitor?
No. Well, if the city of Clayton had PIPs and they wanted to import data or put that data in and share it, they can do that. There are other systems that Vigilant shares with as far as other law enforcement agencies. NICRIC is one of them, Northern Regional something Center. They're a fusion center of data. So NICRIC themselves has a partition section of our Learn server. They host their own scans and they host other manufacturer scans. And most agencies, law enforcement, have access to NICRIC and they can look across that stuff too.
Okay, I was just curious if you were just limited to your own clients, but it sounds like.
No. Again, this is just logging in as a system user, a unique username and password. Believe it or not, there are 75 Mike McGee's in Contra Costa County. So if we were to set me up today and then try to set Mike McGee up tomorrow, it doesn't work. So today, Vigilant, everybody gets set up with their work address. So cwenzel@ci.clayton.ca.us. Everybody has, there's normally not two Claytons, or they don't have the same email addresses. So that's a safe way to set everybody up. And under here, as a user, the user or the officer themselves, they have their own profile so they can update their cell phone number, contact. License plate query is where they do just general searches. Hot list management is where the agency themselves can add something to a hot list, or if they've added it, they can take it out. Mapping tools, if you had a mobile client, if you had mobile on a car, you'd kind of be able to see where the car has actually driven around, where it's scanning. In a fixed environment, you're not going to see that. But with access to private data, you will be able to see what type of private data or commercial data has been accumulated around your area. Stakeout is a virtual stakeout. You can type in an address and put a license plate with that address and ask, has this car ever been at this address? So it just kind of it takes the data and starts, Vigilant can work it forwards and backwards and up and down, sideways. Locate analysis is another unique, and as far as I know, only Vigilant owned software, analytic inside. You can take in a single license plate and just plug it into locate analysis, and should there be more than one scan, it's going to tell you where it was. If there was 1,000 scans of the singular car, it will tell you of those 1,000 scans that 12 times it was at an address which might have been a commercial, 15 times it was at a resident, and it's going to list those addresses. It also lists and leaves you best known address and DMV address. If the police department was building a case and looking for a car and going down that road, it's a built-in analytic for a crime analyst that most people really, really enjoy.
Can you set up a temporary stakeout on a particular address? Because, I mean, we're talking about fixed locations right now for
Correct.
cameras.
Right.
But if we had a particular interest in a location, could you set something up temporarily?
No, this is going to be all historical, so it's going back
be
and
set up
looking
in
at,
advance.
yeah. Dashboard is where you're able to run those reports, how many cars came through this intersection. Of those cars that came through, were there any that were on a hot list? So you can, again, work all the data. Other functions gets the user to their manager. So there's a link to who their their manager is. This is just one of the snapshots of what the analytics stakeout looks like. So you can conduct a surveillance on physical addresses, view LPR visits. This is with a mobile, so obviously this car is driving up and down these alleys at a mall. Select multiple locations and you can cross-reference or run reports. So if there was, with a mobile unit, if the east side of Clayton had some burglaries and the north side of Clayton had some burglaries, you could say between these two locations on these two date and times that we know these incidents occurred, I want you to cross-reference and tell me if there's any license plates that are common. So XYZ123 was here and XYZ123 was here. So it.
Question.
Yes, sir.
I asked about a temporary stakeout. It says in the upper right, conduct surveillance on physical addresses.
Yes.
So you could set that up in advance?
No, it's not. You're not going to set it up in advance. You're not going to. What you can do, if you're wanting to, with a mobile unit, not a fixed unit, if you wanted to know if somebody crossed into an area, you're not necessarily setting a stakeout, but you can set up a geofence. So you say around this school, I want to know if this car drives through this location. So if that mobile car drives past a parallel parked car inside the geofence, you will get an alert. So you can set up a geofence. I think that's maybe what you're trying to ask, if we can be alerted to an area. So not on a fixed environment per se, but within the city, if there was a hotspot, you could say, I'm going to draw a geofence around this park, this school, this building, this house. And when my mobile car with ALPR comes driving by, if I ever scan this license plate, I need to be alerted.
So we could set that up in an unmarked car, for instance?
Yeah.
Okay.
And locate analysis. This is the one where you just type in a license plate, a single plate. It gives you your first scan date and your last seen date, first and last seen images. It's hard to see down here, but it breaks down the visits, how many times the car was seen, if it was a high probability that you'd see it there again or a low probability. So just based on the analytics and all the data, it does some of that number crunching for you. Quickly and easily understand the locations most likely to locate a suspect vehicle based on vehicle popularity at a location, most recent sighting, most popular sighting. Though we're only talking about fixed, the chief still has access to this, and every agency that he shares data with, if that car's in their city parking in front of Starbucks or Safeway or a retail center, he can still search that data. So it's not just your fixed cameras. You're buying into the family of Vigilant and the shared data. And there's not a law enforcement agency that doesn't want to share their data. So if they were looking for a vehicle, they'd enter in up a plate up here. The agencies that are shared would be listed here. This is my demo account, so there's just me. Users. So for your agency, for Clayton, there'd be the chief and all of the sworn officers listed over here. Systems, we'd have Oakhurst Camera 1 and 2, Clayton Camera 1 and 2, Pine Hollow, sorry. And then Marsh Creek would be your systems. So in here is just kind of the very basic search features. And when you do find a vehicle, if it does match your criteria and you want to print out a report, and Vigilant's full of reports, there's PDFs that can be printed out. So we've got the license plate, overview of the vehicle, generic Google map with the geo coordinates, and then we have a satellite imagery. These are not real time. This is not taken at the time of the event. It's just for reference. But over here we would have the vehicle info, the license plate, the date, the time, the coordinates, and then the camera info. Again, over here the agency would say Clayton Police Department. The user who's running the report might be Chief Wenzel, and then the system would be Oakhurst Camera 1 inbound or Oakhurst Camera 2 inbound. So that's all here. That's stuff that he can easily send over to the DA with the report or other officers in the,
A very quick, I noticed you said these were inbound on Oakhurst. Let's just take that for example. You have nothing on exiting Oakhurst?
We do.
You will?
Yeah, that's it. Well,
Because somebody could come into Oakhurst and leave on Oakhurst and never hit the other parts of town.
right,
So,
that's part two.
yeah, all right.
Part two. And then this is just a little redundancy on the data facility. The data center is redundant power sources, OC12, OC48. Some of this actually might even be upgraded since this slide was produced. Secure physical access control so nobody can just walk in there. Multiple diesel fuel generators for backup. 24/7 monitoring and operational support. So this is just talking about the server piece that's inside the hill somewhere. And then the package that we're talking to the chief about is called Intelligence-Led Policing. The acronym is ILP. So if you see ILP on any of your paperwork that you might be reviewing, it's basically a bundle. So we're bundling cameras together with the Learn server, together with commercial data available, as well as this cool feature right here. This is called Mobile Companion. So if an officer has a smartphone, Android or iPhone, they can actually download an app called Mobile Companion. You can download it to yours today. And with their username and password, the same one that they would access at a desktop, they can use that on their smartphone. So they can, everything they would do from a desktop with Vigilant, they can do from their smartphone. That being said, there's a secondary piece inside the smartphone that would actually give them a small map and let them know if any commercial data was in the area and if it matched against the California DOJ hot list. So even though they don't have ALPR on their car, they would know by looking at their smartphone that a stolen car was scanned 2 blocks away from the commercial data. That's the DRN portion. Here's another slide. They can also take a picture of a car. So within Mobile Companion, scan a license plate from Android or iPhone, share with agencies. If you take a picture, it sends it to Learn. It sends it with the date, timestamp, GPS coordinates, as long as your GPS is turned on your phone. And you can actually receive hot list alerts to your smart device, as well as use it for Mobile Hit Hunter, as I mentioned a moment ago. And that's it. Any additional questions?
Yeah, one quick one. I noticed you had an office in Sacramento. Were you instrumental in putting in the systems there at Arden Fair Mall?
Yes, sir.
Because I'm very familiar with that one. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's my
And that, by the way, just for the edification, they had a huge crime rate in there. It's now down to less than 4%.
Yeah. They have,
it's very impressive.
they do have
Yeah.
Vigilant Solutions ALPR, and they work with the Sacramento City Police Department.
Right, I know, because it's
Right.
private sector versus with a link to the Sacramento Police Department.
Correct,
Right.
yeah. It is Vigilant Solutions at Arden Fair.
Right.
Mike,
Any questions from our council here? You got anything
Well, I
further?
think the chief has more.
Oh, he does.
I have a quick question. The plastic that they put over license plate, does that affect the camera?
Can you bring the microphone closer?
Yeah.
I could barely hear you.
And if you
Your
can't
question
hear him,
again?
I can't hear him.
The plastic that goes over plates, some people put on their license plates. Will that affect the reading of the camera?
Yes.
It does.
Can, yeah. It's also a fix-it ticket.
No, it's going to be a real ticket in the
Yeah.
fixing. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else?
Anything? Chief, do you have anything more to add?
Oh, I've got plenty of stuff. So
We're ready.
Should we order out for dinner? No. So I'd like to introduce Kirk Brown from Vion. He's going to talk about the other camera system that you started talking about. We're going to have 2 different camera systems, and he'll explain what the other one is, leaving town.
Oh, 2 different systems, huh? Okay.
While she's doing that, staff, based upon Councilmember Pierce's comments, just identified additional funding sources for this project, Measure J, as we do transportation planning.
Well, it could save consultant costs on projects too. I'm just thinking.
Yes,
No, I got it.
yes, sir.
Good evening. Thank you. I've got the easy part. And my solution really is an overall solution that we're looking at for the same intersection, same location, same poles. And what we are doing is more of the situational cameras. So when you were asking some of those prior questions, I had to be the one to get up here to answer them.
Okay.
So his solution is a sniper. Right? He's trained on license plates with a database and going to give alerts and hits on that. Our solution is an overall solution looking at the situational awareness of multiple lanes, of entire intersections, of the overall story of what happened. So one of the questions was, if there wasn't a license plate for him to trigger on, we're the side that captures every one of the cars going through. So as I go through, our solution, and again, we're married in Danville together. We've got a few other agencies here that we're working with right now, but that's the overall approach to the system design, is that you have specifically those cameras looking for license plates, but you typically don't see the whole car. You can't see, again, people in them. And so that's more of what the situation awareness cameras are really meant to do, is to give you, again, the ability to see if the car came from the right turn lane into the street, which way it was coming, possible, how many occupants are in there, identification. You can really, overall, and I've got some clips that we're going to show you. Some of those, actually, some of these are from Danville. So that's kind of the overall, approach, is that we are using trip line. And we are going to hit, when a car trips that going through the intersection, we capture that. There's nothing else. There's no other requirements on recording that video. So basically the platform, excuse me, it's edge software. So what we're doing is we're running all our smarts out in that camera body. We're actually storing it right there at the camera housing. We have a 1 terabyte solid state drive in the housing. Again, I was trying to avoid being too technical, but this is how we're doing it. But we only transmit on demand. So our visualization suite, when there is an alert, and we are tied, just like in Danville and some of these other locations, to Vigilant to be able to get and receive their alerts that will come up on the platform. So once that comes in, you can automatically, again, come up with an alert, click on it within 2 clicks. You can pull up that video. You can then go back and query right from that same application. So we're a web application, same as Vigilant. We're hosted in a CGIS compliant site. We do a lot of large cities. We do a lot of government agencies. So you have to be CGIS compliant for the data. The whole picture really is, what's the rest of the story? So now you have a hit. What happened in the intersection? Can you now retrieve the video? Can you retrieve the video going back not only an hour, but 2 weeks ago, when you can now identify that, again, the same van has come through every time there's been a rash of these, again, burglaries, package theft, any of these type of things. The portfolio really is our pod cameras here on the far right is what we're talking about, and then the software package to view them. This is what the single pane of glass looks like. Those could be a single alert coming up. Again, this is from Washington, D.C., which we run a bunch of cameras there. That's what a single camera icon will pull up, and you can pull that up full screen. Here's some of the clips from Danville. So again, we're on the same poles and the same intersections. But you can see, instead of just training on a single lane or smaller, we're usually looking at 2, 3, maybe the whole intersection, 2, 3 lanes. So we can capture, and again, have the full recording of the activity, everything that went around that incident. And obviously you can, see the whole car, you can see how many people were in it, you can usually get a lot more information. So again, this is just some of the clips that we were pulling from our Danville cameras. This is actually installed in Oak Hill Park. So that was one of the parks that we did for the city of Danville as well. They wanted just overall coverage of the park, no activity. We have the ability of doing analytics. We can do, and we do this for a lot of bigger cities. So we haven't really talked about doing some of the other things that we can do. But our platform not only ingests video, we take a lot of data. We can do, analytics and run on it. But the primary focus, and again, like I said, I had the easy part up here today, is we're the overall situational awareness camera that's going to really show the whole activity. And it's really that straightforward.
So when you say that, am I understanding this correctly? So there'll be, Vigilant is going to be providing the license plate reading part, and you're going to be covering or handling the or the overall.
Overall, and we're facing opposite. So he's got to be trained again on the back side of the car for the plate, right?
Yeah.
That's 99% the plate's going to be on the back. Sometimes you talk about, obviously some people don't have plates in the front.
Yeah.
So we're facing the opposite way, capturing them. So now you're able to get both views and an overall view.
So are you catching inbound or outbound, or both?
We are facing.
So on a 4-lane road,
I'll talk about it.
4-way intersection, what are you going to get?
I think we only have one that's 4 lanes, right?
You'll be covering 2 lanes coming out.
Yeah.
That's the biggest area that you'll have to cover. Well, I'll cover these issues.
Okay.
And I'll show you exactly where we're going to go in the city
Yeah.
and explain my philosophy on this.
Okay, all right,
Yeah. So
that would be helpful. I'm trying to picture it, and I'm not getting there yet.
Yeah, you got to kind of look at the map and see how he's got them laid out. But
Yeah, okay.
that's really, again,
But your cameras run 24/7?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're
then you
infrared-
would search back, when you get a hit, you'd search back to the time that it would have gone through that intersection or past that
Yeah, you can
camera.
query, and we have the ability to add analytics. And when we talk about analytics, when you talk about, if I needed to see the only red cars that came to the intersection, we can do that with our software. So there's, again, a lot of analytics that we can look at and decipher and come up with. Again, we can distinguish between humans and the car. We can, again, trigger only on the car, but the bicycle or the person walking by won't trigger that. This is stored out on the edge and is accessed through a cell, a cell connection. So you're not really taking up any bandwidth. You're not using city resources. You only query that video when you want to see what's there. And we're getting, anywhere from 45 to 60 days per intersection, per camera, depending on, again, how busy the intersections are. And, some of them are, again, in Danville are heavier used than the other ones. So that goes up and down. We can always adjust recording dwell times and how much of a clip we want to store. So this is all, again, policy that you guys set and that we can, again, adjust to.
Okay, and since you're a different system, obviously you're on a different server and that, how is this department going to get access to your information? Are they going to have a terminal in the police department?
We're a web application that any device.
Okay, so they access it? Okay,
including everything that Mike talked about is the same. It's pretty much the same scenario.
Got it, okay.
So web enabled and again, hosted is, your IT department loves it.
Any questions from?
Not yet,
Oh.
waiting for.
I'm ready for the
Yeah.
chief.
Okay, the chief, here comes the chief.
Put these puzzle pieces together.
Ed has a question.
It all makes sense.
Ed has a question in the back.
I live in Danville, can I get a ticket 45 days ago?
Well,
No, but getting here just tonight, you could have. Yeah, as they're doing that, I just wanted to make certain that the audience who might be viewing this at home and others, that this last element of it is clearly what's happening is creating a storage bank of data and information. No one is sitting at a monitor watching these intersections. And it's only when, let's say, a crime occurred or something occurred, it creates the opportunity to go back in and capture that history.
All right, okay. Chief?
All right. Oops. Okay, so, so basically that, can you hear me all right on this thing? Yep. So that's what's going to look like when we're looking to put these cameras on street poles, lights in our city. 3 of these sections will be Clayton and 1 will be Concord. So remember that. I'll explain how that's going to work also. So that's one of the cameras, how it's going to look on the pole. That's the ALPR camera. And basically those are the 2 things you'll see on the light poles. Okay, so the idea was when I first started looking at this, there was so much money to work with. So trying to find out how can I maximize that amount of money with the systems that are available, and working with these gentlemen trying to work out a contract that's going to work based on that monies. Originally, we talked about having the 3 main arteries. Money got used up, so then we went to a newer system with the Hitachi brand camera, which is not an ALPR, which is less expensive. Yet now I'm capturing coming into the city, the identifier, the license plate, exiting the city. I have now got the vehicle and the people driving the car. So it's kind of the whole package of identifying and apprehending a subject. So, and looking at Clayton at Terra Drive, oh, I have a little light thing here. Oh, look at that. Okay, so that camera, or excuse me, that street light pole is where the camera would go. And they would be, both cameras would be on there. One capturing coming in, the LPRs coming in, and on going out, the Hitachi camera picking up the driver and the occupants of the vehicle. Okay? Are we okay I can move on to?
And they both be aimed the same direction?
No, one will be going into town, one will be exiting town.
I know.
One will be.
But
right.
is it in the outbound lane facing the front of the car, or getting the back end again?
We're getting the rear plate of the vehicle going into the city. We're catching the front of the car and the drivers on leaving the city.
Yes,
They're facing
okay.
the same
So
way.
you get
Yeah,
front
so we get
and back.
both, basically both. We got the identifier, it's for the alerts and the vehicle, and then we also, now we have people who are driving the car.
Got it.
So Oakhurst at Yolanda Circle, again, this didn't come out as good as I'd liked, but that would be the light pole that we would put it on.
And that's Yolanda Circle North, correct? It's the one closest to Concord,
Yes.
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 since it comes around.
Right, correct.
Okay.
So this was a little difficult situation. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. This is our first light pole that we own. And unfortunately, there are some, as we go further out of the city, there are only telephone poles that I could use, but PG&E is not very cooperative in allowing us to put cameras on wooden poles. So on this situation, we will have both cameras on this pole. And then the next issue we'll have is when you look down Marsh Creek Road towards Pine Lane, that's still the city of Clayton. So the distance, we're having a problem with the type of camera, what we could have there. The ALPR camera has a certain distance, so it can't reach out that far. So with this, that street is like way over here. So the Hitachi camera has a specific lens that will capture the vehicle. I was told it'll capture the plate of the vehicle, and then we would have to research it after the event, that plate and that vehicle. Whereas this system basically tells us right away if the car is wanted and that sort of thing. That's what's going on in this area. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. My
Yes.
only question there is, I think everybody who's been out there knows that the cell phone service drops off dramatically when you get to that spot, hence the parking lot on the side of the road before Pine Lane. And so is this got a super cell phone service that the rest of us don't have?
Well, no, I mean, we actually tested at each light pole, and we went to the company that had the strongest connection.
Okay,
And so that's who I'm looking at a contract with. So there's actually a system, an application, you can take your phone and test at a location, and it'll tell you what signals you're getting.
okay.
And who had the best signal?
Sprint, I think it was.
Can you hear me now?
It gets bad for everybody out there, though, we know
Right.
that.
No, I go home that way, and I'll be
Yeah.
talking, and I'll lose it. I'll lose a signal.
Yeah,
Okay. So, this was another difficult area. The first light, street light, is actually right here, but that's on the city of Concord's side of the road. So I talked to the city of Concord and their attorney. They're looking into it. It's looking very promising that the idea of getting an encroachment permit, having our cameras put on there, they would be paying for the energy of that camera, but they would also get the benefit because that's Concord.
yeah.
So they would be giving the benefit, if the council agrees that, through all this process, that I would share that information with them, allowing us to use their street light.
Okay, it has to have a mast arm, though, right?
Pardon?
It has to have some kind of a mast to put it on. It can't be a straight up and down
It could be on a pole,
street light pole.
right, straight pole. There was a
Well,
picture of
The only
it.
reason I ask that is because Pine Hollow Estates has a single pole on the corner of theirs, and they are Clayton.
Like this, like that?
Nope, they are a decorative pole with a fancy globe on the top, but they are a street light. But it's just a single pole at the corner of Party Lane and Pine Hollow. It's the only street light out there on the Clayton side of the
Okay,
street.
well, that's,
But it is a light pole.
and
And so I didn't know whether that might be a way around the encroachment permit and all of that.
Well, we didn't see, well, and then the next picture is we have to capture with this pole, El Camino,
Yeah,
which is over here. Because that's our last street from Clayton. So that's the only place that I could figure out with other than a telephone pole, which again, they wouldn't let me use. So this street light would capture this area, leaving and coming into the city of Clayton. And then we would also cover this area coming this way too.
yeah.
And people leaving this way. So that was easy.
Cool.
Okay, so what else is going on here? So we talked about the encroachment permit. That's actually in the process right now. So like I said, it's going through. It's not completed yet, but I don't foresee any problems in talking to the staff of in Concord. PG&E applications. Okay, so our city lights, as you're aware, are on a flat rate. And so in talking to the several people in PG&E, the complicated area is what are they going to charge us when we put this piece of equipment on these lights? Several cities have already done it, and it hasn't been a problem. We just have to determine what that flat rate's going to be. And so that's what the process is right now that I'm trying to get through PG&E. They said, okay, here's the situation, you're going to accept it. We had a contractor come in and look at the equipment that we have in our lights. He does not believe, and he's put these cameras in, that we're going to have a problem based on how our lights are wired to have these cameras put in and affect, PG&E's guidelines on what you can attach to that light. So that's going through, but the bureaucracy there is amazing, but we're getting through it. So I have to still wait on that. And I'll have an argument later because Dublin has done it and other cities. Did Danville? Oh no, Danville used Caltrans and signal lights.
Danville was either Danville or county-owned, I believe it was mostly Danville.
But it wasn't, they were signal lights that they put them on. Traffic signal, yes.
They
Okay.
asked for encroachment permit on a Caltrans pole.
Ooh, well, that's Caltrans. So hopefully it won't be a problem. That's what I'm working through right now. Training for the officers, so after we get the system going and it's all set up for both companies to come in and talk and take about 3 to 4 hours, we would do that on our training day and just, bump it up probably earlier if this goes through sometime in the spring, have all the officers sit down and get trained on how to work this system. Other than that.
I think
Yes,
Vice
sir.
Mayor has a question.
Chief, just a couple of questions. First, you do show an estimate here for the annual cost for licensing and proprietary software fees. Would there be additional fees when we do want copies of the video or when we do tap in and want to utilize these services themselves? That's all included?
Yes, I mean, as far as I know, they wouldn't, we have access to the information and we download and use it as we.
Regardless of how often we
Right,
access
right.
it? Okay. And the other question then is, you want to share some of the results then of some of these communities that are using these services, the success that they've achieved?
The chiefs I've talked to are very excited about the system and most of it has to do more with investigations. But like our mail theft, which we know what's one of our prominent things that occurs here. At least now we have some information who's coming into our city, who's leaving. And when you have the time frames of what it's occurring, we have a better tool into identifying who those individuals are. Talked to the Danville chief, very excited on the crimes and the people they've already arrested. So it does work. And as you saw before, many of the agencies are going through this system. The number, Pittsburgh went through it, I don't know if you remember Highway 4 and all their issues.
Yeah.
And it was amazing the number of stolen vehicles that were coming through that area. So it's
Picked
like
up a lot.
CHP could have a field day going out there and making those arrests.
And then you also shared with me that there's more or less a network that the criminals are aware of the communities that have this service, and they tend to stay away from it.
Yeah, I think after a while, I mean, working in the jail system, and they do network and they start talking and they realize that, hey, it's a lot easier, like all of crime prevention. If you're alert and, doing your job, it pushes the problems into other areas. So that's why we're trying to get ahead of this, because there are a lot of cities that still don't have camera systems. So it's going to be a very good tool for us to have.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask very similar
David.
questions about the feedback you've received and, how much of a deterrent it is. But I got to imagine that our city actually would be, this could be very effective given that there's only so many ways you can get into our city. So, but I think
Yeah, we're actually fortunate the way it's set up.
Right.
That is city, that there really is only there is a way, but these 4 areas are the main arteries to come into the city.
yeah.
So, yeah, it's pretty exciting, actually.
David.
I think I heard something during the first presentation about that the city would be entitled for the first year to the private data. And of course, that raised flags to me like, I'm not sure what that is. And then after the first year, do we have to pay for that private data? And how much is that? And how much is that part of the system? Because is that going to add an annual cost?
So the ILP was the package that the city is looking at. We're looking to do, so Vigilant has tiered structure for pricing. So based on the number of sworn in an agency inside of a city, it benefits a smaller community. They essentially get, I don't want to say better pricing, but they get good pricing as opposed to a very large city or a sheriff's department. An agency that has less than 50 sworn gets 3 cameras, 1 year of private data, and mobile companion, mobile hit hunter for a price. Another agency who has 500 sworn, because there's possibility of 500 people hitting the server and 500 people running reports and 500 people hitting commercial data, those packages are priced differently. They come with more or less cameras. They're relative.
Okay, it's an added cost after the first year.
Correct.
For a city this size, what are we talking?
For a city this size, the added cost for commercial data after year 1 would be, I believe it's $4,500 annually.
Again, how much?
$4,500 annually.
Ooh.
Okay,
What's
so,
included in commercial data?
What's in
What's
commercial data?
included in that? What
it's
is
a-
commercial data?
It's the data bank that Vigilant Solutions owns with their partnership with DRN from all the recovery industry. So the law enforcement agency would have
Okay,
additional plates to run their queries against.
gotcha.
so that would be something that was not in your 12,765. So we have to add that,
Yes.
right? Okay.
Future years.
And you'd have,
And then, in addition to that extra $4,500, there's going to be the added costs of however small it's going to be for PG&E, right? That's
correct,
still to be determined. And then you're going to have an added cost for cellular data transmission,
$3,600,
$3,600 a year.
yes.
And is that a flat rate, or is that, if we started, like with my plan, if I go over a certain amount of.
No, it's a set rate that they're offering right now. And I picked them again because their signal strength was so good. But that price, could be competitive as time goes on and signal strength gets better with other AT&T or what have you. So it's $37 per camera. And it's different too, I shouldn't have said that, because when you got box cameras, I think you use 4 of the SIM cards for your camera systems, because when you have 2 of them,
Correct.
right.
So it's a single SIM card for an intersection up to 4 cameras.
Well, I don't mean to get into the minutia here, but before we vote on this, I'm going to want a very detailed breakdown that understandably you don't have the data from PG&E yet and everything
Right.
else. Are there any other costs that are not in this initial report that you can anticipate we're going to need on a yearly basis?
Reoccurring costs?
Yeah.
Not at this point. One of the contracts was adjusted this evening, so I have to relook at that to see what the cost changes were. So reoccurring would be an estimate of about $18,000 a year, estimated.
Okay, well, my quick math was 21, based upon what you just did here and what we were
With
just
the
told.
12,
12.7 plus 45 plus 36, it's getting close to 21, but my gazintas aren't great, so we can worry about that later. I mean, it's ultimately not, but I am going to want that for the next time before we vote on it. And thank you. Is this something that will be part of the police budget, or are we going to have to find the funds to add to the police budget on a yearly basis for the however much it is, 20,000 a year?
If I can quickly interject, just back to the commercial data.
If you know
It's-
about our budget, I'm impressed.
It is optional. It comes in the package. It's kind of a, hey, we have this. Normally after the first year, agencies do want to continue that service, but it's not required for your systems to operate.
Okay. No, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Julie?
Well,
However,
wait a minute, I didn't get an answer to my question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Apparently you didn't listen to my question.
well, I'll add on to it.
Is it covered in our budget?
And prospective resources for the funding that would be required on an ongoing basis will be in that report when we see it next.
Good.
So
And
all
that
of
is
the
March
above.
7th,
is that correct?
Cost, yes.
Okay, now let's let Gary answer my question.
Thank you. Yes, tonight's purpose, let me reiterate again, was to launch the concept, to make certain everyone was comfortable before we started to refine the numbers. Let me provide some context. To hire 1 additional police officer, just 1, is more than the amount of money you're talking on an annual basis here. A lot more. To put an officer on every shift 24/7, we need 4.2 officers. I don't know, I haven't seen 0.2 of an officer walking around, so that's actually 5 police officers. And so I think we've often said here at the city council level is that rather than trying to avoid hiring people, we're looking at where technology can augment, so we not work harder, we work smarter. So this is one of those, why we're bringing it forward to you. Fiscal year 14-15, the general fund excess monies was $388,000. Fiscal year 15-16, the general fund excess monies is $205,000. So you've already set aside monies in which to buy the capital expense, and I appreciate the fact that you folks are essentially always watching the budget and you're concerned about the recurring costs. But yes, even despite all the other variables that we're punched with and whatnot, such as the CalPERS liability and other issues that we talked about earlier this evening, this is one of those that I really think, for a variety of reasons, including the deterrence factor that was talked about in terms of the criminals talking about who has them and who doesn't. This is one of those I really think that in order to maintain Clayton's safety that we have to look at, and yes, I think that there's opportunities to find that in the budget.
Okay, but so my question is, that's going to be additional money that we're going to have to find within the budget. It's not going to come out of the existing police budget. It's going to come out of our general fund monies or excess monies and put into that, correct?
No, I don't know that that's the transcript that takes place. The police department budget, by the way, is general fund monies. It's 100%.
I understand that, but
right,
we generally have a certain percentage we pay that we know based upon all the officers. We're going to add 20,000 to that because that's going to be part of it, right?
That's correct.
And we're going to have to find that within the budget, and I fully trust that you'll be able to find that, and if you tell me that we can make it work, I'm comfortable with that. I didn't mean to imply with my question I don't like the system.
No.
System's fantastic, but I want to make sure that when we're adding it, that we're fully looking at it.
Yeah, and I did get the question, and that's why I gave the background in the reserves and the status of the fiscal year, that the last several years, and in fact, many years, there's been, because of the tightness of the budget and the fiscal conservativeness of the operations, that we've been able to have those excess monies. What you would be doing is applying those, putting them into the budget on the front end as opposed to looking at them on the back end.
Yes, Julie.
I'd just like to say I'm excited because technology can save a lot of issues all the way around. And so if we can make this work, I think that's fabulous.
Anything else before I open up to public comment? No, go ahead. No, but I do have a question that I'd like some thought given to. Who is going to receive the alert? The police vehicle, the police department, the dispatch center? Who's going to get that data?
It won't be the dispatch center, it'll be the station and the officer and the vehicle.
I'm sorry.
It won't be the dispatch center, it'll be the police officer at his location on a computer.
Okay, and my question for that is, who has precedent over assigning work to the police officer?
Who has?
In other words, if a 211 happens at the Safeway and this guy gets a 187 suspect coming in the city on a vehicle, who's going to direct that officer to either one of the locations or both? What's going to happen?
Well, policy will have to be established on this whole program, how it's conducted. So it would come down to the officer's professionalism to make that decision, like anything on the street, that if he's dealing with a murder suspect or a robbery, that
I understand that. So they will have the discretion of saying, I'm sorry, I just got an alert from wherever, and I've got to respond to that and not respond to or defer it to another unit or to Concord.
I think those decisions are already in practice on a daily basis. This adds just another element in there, but yes, it would be necessary for them to make those kind of judgment calls.
Yeah. Well, I'm just thinking about, it seems like, and I'm in full support of this system because as I mentioned to Mr. McGee, I've seen it in operation up in Oakland, Sacramento, and it does really fix a problem if you've got one, or it defers the criminal element to another locale. But I think it's a great system, and I think that the amount of technology that can support our department, offsetting the need to have more physical bodies, we're for it, or I'm for it. So I just want to, yes.
Go ahead. As to setting priorities, wasn't the primary use of this more investigative rather than urgent response?
Yeah. For here, I would say would be.
Initially, the primary
Yeah.
use was more investigation.
Right. Absolutely.
All right, just kind of a quick follow up on Jim's question. So since we don't have dispatch after hours and we go through Concord, the system would be routed through the officers on duty. And we wouldn't be running it through dispatch. It would be
Correct.
designated officers. Would it be all officers on shift during the day and night, or would it be one of those and then he does it? I'm just curious if that's something to be developed.
I'm not sure I follow. Any officer that's working would have.
All going to be hooked in?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
perfect.
Okay, this is a action item, and we do want to have any public input on this item. So at this time, I'm opening up the public comment. Anyone from the audience is welcome to come up and speak.
Except
Just
Danville.
Except Danville. Anyway, just state your name and what's your question. Seeing none, I'm going to close the public input portion. And this is a consideration item, so I guess there is no action. We've given
We're
some.
giving direction for
Given
staff
direction.
to go forward and put together the contracts
Right.
and stuff and bring it back to us for
Yes,
final
absolutely.
decision.
With better numbers, yeah.
Absolutely. And that target date at this point is March 7th. Is that correct?
Correct.
Fantastic, Chief.
Awesome.
Great.
This is
I thought this thing
exciting.
was
Thank you,
dead in the
gentlemen.
water when it was first discussed, but you've resurrected it.
This is great.
Absolutely.
Good
Just
service.
just out of curiosity, is Concord wasn't on that list. Is Concord doing something different, or have they just not done it yet?
You know, I don't think they've done it yet. They're researching. I mean, originally when this
It's a
started.
huge city. It's going to be a big cost. I know that.
Once we push all of ours to theirs, then they'll have to.
Well, they're going to be the only one without it.
That whole criminal element's going to be all in Concord now.
But you think of the entry-exit points from Concord, it's
Yeah,
just.
that's enough.
Yeah.
That's why Laura is not present during any of these conversations.
Okay, that concludes our action items. We move to item number 11, council items for future meetings. Do we have any? None?
Not at this time.
We are going to adjourn this meeting into our closed session to discuss government section 549, 56.8, conference with our real property negotiator for the real properties at 6005 Main Street. And there are a variety of parcel numbers there that are going into it, and provide instructions to the city negotiators, and council members Pierce and Shuey are going to be directing that from this council, correct?
Correct. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
We'll be back.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Yes.